This is my shed in its current state. I predominantly use the space for working on cars, and the main aim is to try and have more workable bench space and reduce some of the clutter. I'd originally purchased some cheap shelving off eBay, which was great, but after having worked in the space for a few years now, I have some ideas about how to better use the space. Currently there's a lot of storage, but very little workable bench space. So the plan will be to make a couple of different benches and a new tyre rack. I'll be making the benches out of galvanized square section, specifically 50 by 50 by 1.6 mil. I went with gal as I wanted a finish that I didn't have to paint when everything was completed and was relatively durable. The plan is to make a simple bench with a single shelf, very similar to what I had before, only slightly higher to make it easier on my back when I'm working. I'm a complete novice when it comes to welding anything. I did a half-day course at a local welding shop, so I had the basics down, but aside from that I had no other welding experience before starting this project. Once I'd finished welding and grinding back some of the welds, I applied some silver paint for protection and popped the new bench into position. I decided to clad the wall in 12mm plywood. I'm not planning to hang anything larger or heavy off these, so didn't opt for anything thicker, but would be a good idea to go for something thicker if you're planning on hanging lots of items from it. I had to trim these down slightly, and once complete gave them a quick coat of white paint. There's no windows in the shed apart from roof lights, so hoping that the white adds some light. Next I started on the tyre rack using the same 50 by 50 by 1.6 mil square section. At 3.3 metres wide, the rack will cover about half the width of the shed and is about as big as I could make while still being able to manoeuvre it through the side door. I didn't film the construction process as it was the same as the prior bench, however here it is finalised. Not long after install, we were hit with a 5.9 magnitude earthquake. Everything stayed upright, which I was really happy about. I made another workbench, this time with a section for overhead storage. It was the same process as the first bench, however was a little bit more difficult given the extra size. For the bench top I used 16mm MDF with 12mm MDF for each of the shelves. You'll see there's a space between the two workbenches as shown by the red arrow. I wanted to have one long bench top, so with some leftover scrap I welded together a piece to fill this space. I used smaller 40 by 40mm box section to telescope through the larger 50 by 50 of the workbenches. I welded some M12 nuts to the bottom of the infill piece and then tightened a bolt to hold the telescoped 40mm box section in position. I picked up a cheap cupboard at the local hardware shop to store some loose items and empty fuel cans. This is how the shed looks now. I now have a lot more working bench space and more storage as well. There's still some things I'd like to tidy up, and I suspect it will continue to evolve as time goes on. However, I'm really happy with how the space has turned out so far. As a reminder, here's a few pictures of what it looked like before we started. Thanks for watching, and I hope there's a few ideas in there that can help you out in your own project.